It's Nilvarcus here. Welcome back to another video. Recently, Ancestors held their second major livestream for Aion 2, and in that livestream, they actually dropped some incredibly important details about the game's PvP systems. Aion's identity is fundamentally tied to its PvP. The eternal war between Asmodean and the Alias is the soul of the game for so many of us. The big question has always been, how will Aion 2 handle it? Will it be a repeat of the original, or are they taking a new approach? Based on the information from this livestream, it's clear they're attempting a significant evolution of the classic formula. Today we're going to break down everything we learned about Aion's PvP, from the high-level philosophy changes to the specific game modes they confirmed. So let's jump right in. Alright, the single biggest and most important change they announced is their new approach to the realm versus realm. In the original Aion, your server was your world. The Alias and the Asmodean populations were locked on the one server. If your faction was outnumbered, that was it. You just had to deal with it. This often led to severe population imbalances, where one side would completely dominate the Abyss and all PvP objectives, making the game miserable for the other. Aion 2 is completely changing this. They stated that the servers will now be matched against other servers with similar population levels and overall strength. This means that for the large-scale RVR, you won't be just fighting the opposing faction on your server, you'll be fighting a server that is, in theory, an even match for your own. This is a pretty massive shift, moving away from the single server community model and towards a more balanced matchmaking based system for its large conflicts. So what's my take on this? Honestly, I'm kinda optimistic but cautious. On one hand, this directly solves the single greatest problem that plagued the original Aion for its entire lifespan, the faction imbalance. Nothing killed the fun of PvP faster than being on a server where your faction was outnumbered 2-1. On paper, a matchmaking system ensures that the large-scale fights, the ones that really matter, should always feel somewhat competitive. On the other hand, it does dilute the classic server identity. The feeling of us versus them on your specific server was a powerful motivator. You knew your enemies, you had rival legions. I do worry if it's just a faceless, rotating enemy server every week. Some of that server-specific drama and community might be lost. We'll have to see how they actually implement it, but as a solution to the balance problem, it's a very logical and modern approach. Next up, let's talk about the open world, specifically the rifts and ganking. The developers were very direct about this. They are keeping the rift system, which allows players to invade the enemy faction's leveling zones, but they are adding a crucial limitation. You will only be able to stay in the enemy territory for a limited amount of time. This is a direct response to the classic Aion strategy of finding a good spot, planting a kisk, and camping low-level players for hours on end. While that was fun for the gankers, it was a nightmare for everyone else. The developers specifically said they want to prevent unwanted PvP outside of designated zones. This time limit on Rift seems to be a primary tool for achieving that. This change is, in my opinion, almost universally positive for the health of the game. It kind of preserves the thrill of the rifting, that feeling of being like invading force behind the enemy lines, but by adding the time limit, it forces those invasions to be much more meaningful. You have to get in, achieve an objective, and get out. On paper, it cuts down on the excessive griefing that turned so many new players away from the original game. It means you can still get your PvP fix in the open world, but you can't make the game literally unplayable for other people for hours at a time. This feels like a great compromise that keeps the spirit of rifting alive while respecting the time of the wider player base. Beyond the large-scale RVR, they also confirmed some specifics, instance PvP modes. First, the arena is back. They confirmed both 1v1 and 4v4 brackets. This is pretty standard for any MMO, and it's great to see confirmed for those who love small-scale competitive play. They also announced a brand new battleground mode, which translates to payload or cargo war. They directly compared it to like escort game mode you see in games like Overwatch. One team will be on offense, pushing a payload, while the other defends. This actually sounds really cool, and it moves beyond like simple deathmatch. Introducing an objective-based tactical team play into an instance PvP in an MMO sounds like a really good idea to me. So I pretty much have no complaints here. The 1v1 and 4v4 arenas are pretty much essential mode to add. The new payload type mode sounds like a welcome surprise. I am a bit curious about the arenas, if they're gonna be normalized. I really hope they are. There was no information on this live stream about that, so I think we have to wait for the next live stream, which gonna have some PvP content on it. But yeah, I do hope the arena's gonna be fully equalized, because that's basically what they do in Lost Ark and BDO, and that's just great, even though it's a bit of a divisive topic around the MMORPG community. But yeah, the payload mode sounds like a fun addition to an MMORPG. The objective-based modes are always great for allowing different classes and playstyles to shine. Obviously, it's gonna be problematic if the game is massively pay to win and these arenas and battlegrounds are not equalized in terms of gear and levels, but who knows. So To sum it up, Aion 2's PvP seems to be shaping up a bit more structured and balanced experience. They seem to be directly addressing the biggest complaints from the original, the faction imbalances, the excessive griefing, with kind of a modern solution like server matchmaking and time-limited rifts. There is still a lot of unanswered questions. They didn't mention the Abus point system or the classic ranking system that we had in the first game, or how the gear and the reward will be handled when it comes to PvP. These are pretty much the critical components that will ultimately determine how rewarding the PvP grind is gonna feel. But based on what we know now, the foundation they are building already sounds pretty good to me. It seems like they're trying to capture the essence of what made Aion's PvP great, while sanding off kind of the rough edges that held it back. I know a lot of people are gonna be kind of angry about it, especially the ones that enjoyed the PvP in the first game. These are some massive changes to that kind of gameplay. But personally, I'm quite excited about this direction. It does show that the devs kind of understand what went wrong with the first games and its PvP, and they're really trying to fix that, which is always a positive thing to see. But yeah, what do you guys think about this? Especially would love to hear from people who were enjoying the PvP in first Aion. Do you like the idea of like server versus server matchmaking? I think that's how the world versus world works in Guild Wars 2, so maybe they got kind of inspired by that system. And also, what do you think about like the time limited rifts? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you enjoyed breakdowns like this, give this video a like, subscribe to my channel, it really helps me out. Thanks for watching, I'll see you in the next one, bye bye.